One of the most important aspects of a strategy game is the AI or the script for the NPCs. And yes, I will refer to it as an AI because that's exactly what we have called it for now nearly 30 years of gaming. So deal with that. But that, of course, leads to the question, how is the AI in Endless Legend 2? And that's exactly what we will take a look at. Now, with that said, please keep in mind that everything you are seeing here is from an early preview build. This is not even the early access version you will be able to play in 2 or 3 months, or even longer than that, depending on how much time they take, but at least 2 to 3 months. And also, I was limited to 2 factions I could play, and I also had a turn limit of 125, which brings me at around the mid-game of the game, so there's still plenty of stuff the AI could screw up, but I think it's still a pretty good point to get a good feeling on how the AI works. So with that said, let's jump right into it. And the first thing we want to focus here is like the overworld stuff, like the world map, the building, the diplomacy, how do they manage all that? And then we will also take a look at the combat, because that's also very, very important in this game. And you can see here, this is an AI player. They're an ally of mine, and they were nice enough to give me an overview. And I can already tell that the AI has been expanding quite a bit. You can see that they started out alone on a continent, and they immediately utilized that to expand relatively quickly. And I would say that they did choose areas which make sense, with a lot of anomalies which give nice boosts and the things they need in the end. You can see that right here, right? They have like a workshop area in this city, and they even did build that on areas with like some extra production and stuff. So they are always trying to build so that it makes sense. They even had where is it? They had this area here also with workshops, but they always try to build some research centers around anomalies, because when they do that, that gives them an extra boost for the research, right? So you always want to have like those research centers around anomalies, that you are getting an extra boost on the research, and you can see that right here. So the AI is definitely doing something smart. They are trying to build cities which are also focusing on certain aspects, which is something you definitely want to do in this game. And there was one moment where I was scratching a little bit my head, and you can see it right here, right? The AI did build into this direction and expanded into this area. And I was like, wait, why are they not just going through here? Well, the answer is A, you cannot go through a neutral faction. You cannot build through that. So they would have to go this way or this way. But what they wanted to do is probably getting all the dust production, having this all line up. And the really interesting part is with dust buildings is the more dust buildings which are producing dust are surrounded by other buildings which are producing dust, the less it will produce. Dust buildings do get a debuff when they have other dust buildings around them. You can see that right here, right? I had to build around that and make sure that I don't really have too many marketplaces to each other next to each other, so that they are actually getting the most out of it. And the AI just said, yeah, you know what, I can just build one long line, and this is probably how I get the most out of that production. So at least it looks like that the AI is not dumb, and it's not just building some random buildings somewhere, wherever they can find them. You can see that they're also staying away from the desert as far as they can. So there's definitely some thinking here involved, which I really enjoyed. Now let's talk about the next big thing in those type of games, and that is, of course, diplomacy, right? So how does the diplomacy work, and how do the other factions slash racers act to you? Well, keep in mind that I only had met two of the factions, like the third faction, which was the necrophages. We only met recently, and you can already see that things are not going too great, which is pretty normal for that faction. But everything else, so I met this one right at the beginning because we were both from the aspects, and we have like the special ability that we can basically sense each other and we know where the other person is. And then we could immediately start to have diplomatic relations. We realized also very quickly that we were not on the same continent, and so we started to support each other very early, and this is how this whole alliance thing came to be. And now we are best friends. Now, the second faction I met, the kin of Shayadin, they were unfortunately on the same continent as I was. And you can see here that I had the big part of the continent, and they unfortunately had the very small part. So we were expanding into the same area, and we were immediately at odds. And we started to fight each other on neutral territory till the kin at some point were just like, okay, this is enough. This means war. And we have been at war for quite some time. It's not that the AI didn't try to kind of make it right, and they kind of tried to like fix things, but I didn't really let them. I always attacked them when I could. And so in the end, unfortunately, it did went to war, and it made sense because the enemy definitely had more units than me when they attacked. I only won because the AI made the mistake to only send in two armies turn after turn. So my two armies I had at the time had enough time to regenerate and fight them back. It was still hard though, and if they would have like just sent them in all at the same time, even though you can only send two armies into a fight, then I would have been probably overwhelmed. But maybe on a higher difficulty, keep in mind this is normal, they would have acted differently. But nonetheless, the fights are really good. We will jump into a fight here in just a second, but I want to tell you about two situations at the time which made me reload the game. I had to reload because I screwed up. The first one was in this area where I was on the hill with my melee fighters right here, right? And my archers were right here. So I was definitely in a better position because the enemy came from here. And I was like, yeah, I got this. And the enemy was like, no, you don't. They were running into the forest, which gives them extra protection and extra protection against arrow fighters, right? Against range fighters. And then they flanked my army and decimated me. I had to reload. Or another moment I had was in this area. So the battlefield was split up in a way that there were only two tiles available at the time they could have gone to. And so I positioned my army at the two tiles, and all my range units afterwards, so my melee fighters were taking the brunt of the attack, while my range fighters could wail down on the enemy. Well, that was at least the plan, because their hero had a huge AoE attack which decimated my army, and I lost half my army in just one round, and I had to reload. And I learned not to stand together when that hero is close. Like, they're using their abilities, they are using their passives, right? And they are doing a lot of things where they are utilizing the surroundings and the abilities, and it makes sense. It's like, yeah, I would have probably done the same thing. I would have sent my cavalry trying to flank. I would go for the archers first. I would go for the weakest unit on the battlefield. I would use my abilities to the most effect. And that is all what the AI is doing in this game, which is pretty impressive. So, all things considered, I'm actually really happy with how the AI is functioning. Keep in mind, this is only a normal. This is only till the mid game, so I don't really know how this will go the further we are getting into the game, and of course, the harder the AI gets. But I also didn't feel like they were cheating. It made all sense how they were building their resources. So in general, I was really impressed with the AI, and I'm curious to see where it goes. But that was definitely a good sign, and I'm keeping you posted when I can definitely play more of the game. Right, this will probably have to wait till early access is happening in a few months, and then we'll keep you posted with another AI video down the road. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. And also, if you're new to the channel, you want to see more strategy games and, of course, Endless Legend 2 videos, I would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. With that said, though, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.